Welcome back, guys, to the Claw Pod. My name is the AntMan. You know these guys, Ross, Marshall, Vaughn, Erich. Thank you guys for joining us. If you're watching here on YouTube, if you haven't smashed that like button and subscribe, do that for us so you never miss an episode. And we're inching up closer and closer to making this a big deal. So that's all because of you, not anything that we do. We're just someone here talking about wrestling and everything else. But thank you guys for watching or for listening. If you're listening somewhere, Apple, iHeart, Spotify, wherever it is, please hit subscribe there too. It would mean a lot to us, and it's free for you. It just helps our analytics and numbers and things like that. So thank you for doing that, guys. Good to see you again this week. It's funny. I want to kind of start because of a conversation we had offline. I want to start this wrestling podcast talking about NBA basketball, if that's okay with you.
Here we go.
I am, you know that I'm a native Oklahoman, and first time ever that the Oklahoma City Thunder are NBA champs. Just happened, and excited.
I want to know how you feel right now.
I think, I'm not, if I'm just being straight up honest, I'm not a huge basketball fan in general. I just never have been. I'm not good at it. I tried out when I was in high school and ended up being the manager. If that tells you anything.
Really?
It was awful.
An evil manager?
That's where pro wrestling snuck in.
Should have been an evil manager. That would have been a lot more fun, I think, than what I was doing, cleaning jerseys and shagging, basketball. But that is about as close as I got to it. So, but just for the city, I was working in radio in Oklahoma City when the New Orleans Hornets came to Oklahoma City after the hurricane. So we had them for a couple of seasons there. And I think that the way that Oklahoma City showed up for them is the reason that we even got the transfer from Seattle down to Oklahoma with the Supersonics, now the Thunder. But that's been 20 years, 18 years, something like whatever it's been. I have a buddy that's had season tickets for 13 years and got to be there last night for the championship. So thought that was really cool. And also, how exciting is it goes all the way to Game 7.
Dude, so you had a friend that had those season tickets for 13 years. How good were they 13 years ago?
I mean, they've been good off and on. They've rebuilt over the last few years. But another guy that I've worked with, his name's Brandon Rabar. He is he's like the leading analyst of Oklahoma City Thunder basketball. Does a great podcast, the Thunder podcast in Oklahoma. And I asked him early on in the season. It was before the what would that be? Like the All-Star game, a few weeks before the All-Star game. I said, can we talk about NBA finals at this point yet? And he's like, if they stay even close to being on the same track, we're definitely going to be in the finals,
man.
And for that to move on to them, not only being in the finals, but winning against Indiana was just magical last night or on Sunday night. Watching that was a lot of fun. It's the only NBA game I watched the entire season.
Yeah, was it really?
That was it. That's the only one I've ever watched.
You might not be a basketball fan, but you should be at least for this week. Or the next month.
If you like underdog stories, for sure too.
For sure.
And Indiana,
at the end of it, that Oklahoma City has genuinely been the best team in the NBA the entire season.
Yeah. See, that's cool.
It too. Yeah. So that's impressive, man.
It's bittersweet, especially when, like in the NFL, when you get the playoffs, how everything can just change. Everything can just change. That's why it's almost like I try not to be a Cowboy fan until like the second or third game in the playoffs because the heartache isn't worth it. And so it's when a team that has like 6 losses wins the Super Bowl, you're like, man, I'm sure the hometown is happy or whatever, but that's the most painful. But I'm happy the good team took it all the way. It's good to see every now and then undefeated team or a team with barely any losses make it, maintain it, and then conquer, win.
Yeah, and to win it all, take on the trophy.
Yeah, man, that's freaking
and to have the game. I mean, if they would have won the last game, it would have been in Indiana, and they lost it, so it made Game 7 at home for Oklahoma. And so that was a pretty big deal. That was pretty cool.
I mean, Indiana too, like they're kind of an obscure sort of team. For them to be, this deep in the playoffs, that's pretty. Yeah. I mean, they're in the
more
finals
recently anyway. The Pacers have always been good, but they've had obviously down years more recently. But I hated seeing Halliburton's injury. If you watch that in the moment, in the replays, that just looked painful.
I didn't see what happened.
So he had a lower calf injury anyway, and he was kind of nursing that, and then he snapped his Achilles.
Yikes. Oh shoot! I bet he was compensating, like limping and walking on one side, or that stuff can happen. I know. That's how I think I hurt my shoulder. Or my pec? Yeah, I was using my shoulder just weird for the past for that prior month, and then landed that drop kick and my weird new motor skills and jacked myself up.
Messed it up, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Halliburton became like an overnight star. I've never really heard the name. I'm not a huge basketball fan, but then he had a couple last second, wins or whatever, and now everybody knows him. And then, man, sad to see him get hurt like that. Like
that was
Aaron
quarter
Rodgers
one too, in the very first quarter. And
was it really
the entire game? Yeah,
but he got hurt in the last game.
He had hurt previously. I don't know if it was actually in the NBA finals or there towards in the playoffs, but he was kind of nursing that a little bit, but it happened in the first quarter of this final game, and I presume that somebody told him to get up because he was screaming at them, "I can't." Man, they didn't know what had happened to him. Yikes. And you just see the pain on his face. Man, it's just bad, and hate to see that for the. That's
one of my worst nightmares as far as injuries go. Achilles tendon.
Oh,
that's scary, man.
Sounds painful.
Oh man,
Marshall, in our group text, you brought up Caitlin Clark. Have you been following her for a little bit?
So that's what I was going to say. If Indiana, they can keep their heads up high right now because their WNBA team which is really pretty cool because women's basketball really, you think about it. When I think of it, I always think of just empty arenas. But the fact that it's this exciting right now and they have this golden goose in Caitlin Clark, it's I noticed, like, I guess I started getting interested. Ross got me on it when she was at Iowa and she was over there breaking records. And then the first, not just girl, but one of the first people other than Steph Curry shooting from like the middle of the court.
It's obscene.
I know. It's like
2 steps past midcourt. She sinks a three over and over and over again.
It's like, if you do that every time, just do it every time.
Yeah, why not? You can shoot from there, do it.
I know. Which is, if you watch basketball like 30 years ago, it's such a different game now. It's crazy that what people are doing, but this girl really is just unbelievable. But since I've been interested, I've been watching more highlights of her, and guys in the AW locker room are wearing Caitlin Clark jerseys. Like they're walking in. She's definitely stirring a lot of interest. Ross and I, if we're ever in the same town, we're like, hey, let's definitely catch a game. If we're in the town, we'll stay an extra day because we want to. It's like she's hearing how people talk about her too. It's like she's a generational talent. You get one of that people are saying she is like the Michael Jordan, LeBron James of WNBA.
They needed a storyline, and so they got her, and then she was kind of getting like, debatable, but like she was getting targeted a little bit.
That's what I've noticed. Big
kind of bullied, especially her rookie year. But now she's got like an enforcer who's like has like a fighting background and stuff.
Dude, and Thai fight. Yeah, this girl Sophie, right?
Yeah. So yes, Sophie something.
Yeah, this girl.
That's her Diesel.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. But her jersey, the enforcer, Sophie, her jersey sales like skyrocketed. Like after the last game, she was getting in everybody's face. So
I want to find out where she's from because I know she says y'all. So I'm just gonna pretend like
she says y'all. She's from close.
Yeah, exactly. And so I watched. I was just catching up on highlights, and I have noticed though that Caitlin Clark, she gets fouled like so much, and then the refs just kind of let it go. And I'm not saying treat her special because she is like the golden goose or whatever, but it seems like it's hard for people to acknowledge in the WNBA to acknowledge how good she is, and I think too, like she's going to bump up a lot of she's changing the game for everybody with sponsorships and all that. Like I think salary is going to start going up. I think a lot of stuff's going to start changing. Yeah. So I would try to nurture that if I was a part of the league, but this girl came in and she obviously doesn't have any head issues. It might be jealousy because there's a lot of girls that had been in there for a long time. And then this girl comes in and she's just killing it, selling out stadiums, breaking all these records with merch sales and all that stuff. But her new enforcer, Sophie, has fully embraced the Caitlin Clark, and I think she's number 2, I think, in jersey sales right now, because she's this pretty girl that's not afraid to get her hands dirty and fight, and she's
awesome.
It's fun. It's fun to watch. It really is fun.
That's really cool. Well, that's our podcast for today. Only talking about something we brought up last week, and what's funny is that we recorded the podcast on Monday. It releases on Tuesday. We always talk about like it's Tuesday. It's not a secret. But last week we were talking about who could be Bill Goldberg's final match, and I said that I had a strong suspicion that it would be Gunther, and then later that night after recording it, it proves to be Gunther and Bill Goldberg going head to head at Saturday night's main event, July 12th. And then our podcast comes out the next day. It just sounds like I didn't watch Raw. I did watch Raw, and I was like, man. And the podcast comes out tomorrow. It sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Dude, just bust out a YouTube video, man. Just check out the highlights from last night. Come on, man.
Exactly. No kidding.
We're there to back you up. He did guess, guys. He guessed that before it happened.
Yeah, educated guess. I mean, I think that all signs pointed to that, even though it was like 8 months ago when they had their altercation at Bad Blood or something like that. A lot of people taking issues with Goldberg getting a title shot with just walking in and saying. That's what I was going to bring up.
I was surprised just because I think me and Ross are probably biased, and you too now, because we have this relationship with Bill. We've built a friendship with him. So I didn't really think about the circumstances. I'm trying to look at it from a fan perspective. I'm just pumped that Bill's doing it again.
Yeah.
And especially after he's gotten his procedure done, the stem cell stuff. And we've been training with him. He is in incredible shape. He does not look like he's just doing a one-time match. He looks like he has like a sting run in him, like a last couple of years or whatever. But now that I'm thinking about it, Gunther and Uso, like I liked where the angle was going and stuff. And honestly, I would have liked to see Jey hold the belt a little longer, just because he's really over, man. He's got the crowd is really behind him, and you don't really see that a long time. I mean, you don't see that all the time. And if you got to think about like when pro wrestling, I guess, was not hurting, because during the COVID era, a lot of people were watching TV, I guess, or watching wrestling. But the Uso brothers have been there a while, man. They really have been holding it down for a long time. Yeah. And not a lot of people can say that. And so it is pro wrestling. But I think those are two good guys. And I just love their family and stuff. But I think Bill honestly could have gone against anybody. And I know Bill probably didn't even care who he went against, but
there's a part, kind of going all different directions here on this topic, but I listened to Busted Open. I hear Dave ranting for 3 or 4 days in a row about Bill coming in and getting a title shot, but there was no story, and it would have been easy to even set up a small little quick story would have been completely fine. Why does he just get a title shot just randomly? Is it just because he's Bill Goldberg? Well, it's easy. It would have been easy. There was not a guest GM that night, but it was Nick Aldis, who's not normally the GM on Raw. And it could have been, I can't, set anything up. I can't set up a title match. I'm just filling in tonight. You got to have Bill corner him and go, let me make some calls, see if we can't do that. We're talking to like 30, 45 seconds backstage, and then announce later, I guess the call happened, and I guess it is because we just got this, and throw up the graphic and saying that he's having a title match. Another thing that has me wondering about this too is that I kind of thought it was a little premature why did we get another match with Jey Uso as the champion and Gunther? They just seemed weird to have that again, just randomly out of the blue, and then to have Jey drop it. So you needed the title on Gunther if he was with him facing Goldberg. Are you going to is Goldberg going to win the title?
Yeah, dude, that it does make the way you're saying this, because you are 1-0 with guesses right now. So, honestly, man,
all the ones that I was wrong on before. That's all right.
Yeah. Well, at least on the Claw Pod, you've been pretty freaking right.
Sure.
But that's the thing is I think anytime if you have Bill Goldberg on your TV, people are going to watch, and he's exciting to watch. And I really don't think it would have been super hard to come up with some creative angle, for him. And that's the thing is knowing him, I feel like he wouldn't really even. I don't think he suggests I need a title match. He didn't go and do that.
No,
so it could have been anybody. So that does make it weird that they would do that with Jey and Gunther, like that they'd have him take the title, lose the title again. And was it back to back that they wrestled each other? And then was there a match between, or was there a title defense or anything? Did Jey have?
There was if I'm not mistaken, the way it went to start off with was that Jey faced Gunther at Saturday night's main event for the title. Jey lost. Then Jey goes to the Royal Rumble, wins the Royal Rumble, and goes back to fight Gunther again. So at WrestleMania, he wins the title. Then they're in a match where, if I'm not mistaken, Gunther's in there, but it's like a tag team or a 6-man tag, something like that. And then he just randomly gets another title match again and wins it back long after WrestleMania. I don't know. I have a theory here that I want to throw out there, and just for the record, and if it happens, we'll, Nostradamus stop by and visit it. Okay. If it doesn't happen, it'll just move on. We won't bring it up again. I think that Bill may win the title in Georgia, in Atlanta, Saturday night's main event. And while he's celebrating, he ends up getting speared by Braun Breaker after the match is over with.
Okay.
Which would then allow Seth Rollins to hand in his briefcase and pin Bill Goldberg. After he wins the title, pin Bill Goldberg, cashing in his money in the bank, and becomes the new
dude. If you guess that and that all happens, that's insane. That's it. That is insane. Because that's
by the way, he has no insider information at this point.
No, I really don't.
He's not getting it from us.
The most insight I have is from you guys, and you don't tell me anything. And I like that.
I like that. Is crazy, man.
It's only crazy if it does happen. Like, how'd you guess that? It's the only story. If you're not going to build anything here with Gunther, the only story that kind of makes me excited about the match.
Man, Anthony, you'd be a good guy to have in a promotion if when during chaos, like say a guy like breaks his leg or something, some kind of emergency happens and everything's got to change.
Make this make sense.
Make this make sense. That honestly would make sense. Especially if there's something else going on that they aren't telling the people, something like some personal issue or something like that with one of the guys or whatever. But I would be pumped to see Bill win in Atlanta.
It used to be the case where if you weren't like one of Vince's guys, like a WWE homegrown guy, then they would kind of not purposely. I don't know what Vince got out of it, but he would make it where there wasn't a big storyline or some kind of anticlimactic where it just didn't mean as much, and so you kind of thought that would go away after Vince left. So it's interesting to see where they're going with this.
It really is. And I know that it's unfortunate that everything kind of has to happen all on the same weekend, all in Texas and all of this and what have you. But it'll be interesting to talk about afterwards, especially with the connection that you guys have helping him train and get ready for this match. And while you're tending to your own business at AEW as well, I know that people know that you're working with him. We talked about it here. It's obviously not forward facing anywhere, but it is cool to know that behind the scenes that the wrestling community is just family across the board.
It is. And what's cool too is now I'm even more excited next time we go, because we're probably gonna get a couple more training in sessions with Bill. He's been a lot busier lately, and I see why he's doing more and more stuff. But we're gonna try to get a couple workouts in this week, and I'm gonna dig something out. I'm gonna try, because I got a feeling he probably knows some stuff that he's not letting us know. Maybe he's just he's just being smart.
Might be working you guys.
Yeah, maybe working us a little bit, and I'm pretty easy to work. I get it. I'm gullible.
Well, I'm excited to watch that. We'll see what happens. I am even more excited. AEW All In Texas coming up July 12th. I've seen them. We talked about it, I think, one other time. They've changed the stage around again, and I found out that it was to accommodate more seats in some sections. So If that's true, that's great news. And looking forward to seeing how that turns out. I do wonder if anybody has any reservations about being in a place that big after the political landscape that we're currently in at the moment. But I hope all of that gets resolved and we feel a little more at ease for those that may feel nervous about that. Going into
there's a lot going on right now in wrestling and in the world, man.
In the world, yeah. Tomorrow night, Dynamite and Collision, both in Kent, Washington, headed to Ontario on July 2nd. What's exciting about this show on July 2nd, it's Dynamite's 300th episode, and that should be a lot of fun.
Already, dang, AW's been, man, AW's, yeah, they've been around, what, how many years is it?
I mean, well,
6 or 5?
300 episodes, 52 a year. You can do the math.
Man, congrats to Tony. That's yeah. To start something from scratch and hit a 300 televised episodes, that's insane.
Yeah. And dude, but what people don't see is Tony really is the one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. I can't believe he's at every show and AW is doing, he has literally no free time.
Yeah. He's always working on
his life. Yeah.
And you go on our off days, because the AEW guys, we'll talk to them too, and they're like, I don't know how Tony does it, because some of these guys are on they're on Dynamite, they're on Collision, they're on Rampage, and then they do some ROH stuff, and then they say they'll see Tony in Jacksonville doing something with the Jaguars, doing something for his soccer team. Of
course,
he really is.
Even when we talked to him at the last show, he was having a full conversation with us and like 3 other people at the same time. Like simultaneously, like people would walk by, dude, and we would pick up where he left off from their conversation earlier, and then like continue with ours. It was pretty.
I love that he's optimistic too and energetic and all that stuff. But he's like talking to you, and he's like, "What's up, bro? Let's go. Great work last night." And then he like, it's not just BS, because he'll bring up something that obviously they talked about, and he's invested in every relationship that he has.
That's cool. That's cool. After that July 2nd, 300th episode of Dynamite, it moves to a full week here in the great state of Texas, where all 3 of us are at the moment. July 9th, headed for a full week in Texas, starting, I believe, in Garland, and then moving towards Arlington for All In. I know you guys, you're on the poster for Ring of Honor the night before All In. Any direction, anything you can share with us about that night?
I got a feeling it's going to be a title defense. I wish I knew more. That's been the fun stuff about being up here, is keeps you on your toes. You never know. But Ross and I are seeing that with a lot of guys are coming back. We're seeing a lot more guys there. And so it's honestly good for Ross and I, because we're seeing that with the opportunities that we do have, we need to make the most of them. And so our last match, we both tried some things that we don't usually do, and it worked out really well. And we both feel, I don't know, we both feel like something's changing in us. And so you're gonna see a different side of Ross and Marshall, Von Erich. We're realizing what we have to do to stay valuable to a company. Because when you're an independent wrestler, before all this is, the most regular thing we had before was Japan, which was Noah. And that was, we were wrestling 4 to 5 times a week, and it was very busy, but there wasn't many like angles or anything. It was literally just wrestling. The angles were for the main event, mostly like Kenta, Morishima, like the guys that were in the main event, but everyone else kind of just had matches. It would just be crazy matches. And randomly too, maybe I didn't get it, but randomly there would just be like 2 guys you'd see work that, they'd have regular matches, but then just randomly at a small little house show, they just kill each other. Just start like just, you hear the thuds and they're putting in mouthpieces. And I didn't really understand why they did that in Japan or whatever, but kind of off topic. But anyways, Ross and I, the limited opportunities we feel like things are going to change after All In, because we both just know it, and we can't share everything we do know yet, but we're gonna be a lot louder, I guess. I don't want to say too much. I'll stop.
Okay. Something you can talk about. RCW, Stars and Stripes Forever. It is now officially sold out at the Von Erich Ranch. That's coming up, I believe July 6th. Is that right?
Yeah, July 6th.
That's what I thought. You can, though. Tell you this, if you weren't lucky enough to grab a ticket while you could, you can watch it. So even if you're not in Texas, but you like this podcast and you want to watch the guys as well as many other guys that are up and coming and what have you, the Title Match Network app or titlematchnetwork.com, you can go there and you can watch the pay-per-view. And so you can watch it as it happens, even though you don't have a seat in the house, you can still be a part of it. So that'd be pretty cool. Stars and Stripes Forever. What a great weekend for this event. Right there in your backyard. You walk from your bedroom to the match, back to your bedroom.
Literally.
That's right. And my dad isn't doing a meet and greet this time, but he's going to be there. Don't worry about that. Okay. And so, some people were asking about that, but yeah, he will. He lives here. You're going to see him. You might even see more of him, honestly.
Yeah.
He might just come pull a seat up next to you.
Yeah, exactly. He's got his 4-wheeler. He might just do a Steve Austin and crash into the.
I know that's what he was doing last time. He'd just be making his rounds on the 4-wheeler, peeking his head in once in a while. So you expect more of that.
I'd like to see some more events at the Von Erich Ranch, and like we talked about on the last episode, make it like a little, a new little sportatorium in Bernie, Texas would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Ross and I are thinking about that in the future, especially even just maybe building something specifically for that, and doing events and it being like a little just niche thing out in the country, and specifically pro wrestling. Come out here and I'm sure we'll do other stuff, but road pro wrestling is what
I know. These shows have been fun, haven't they? Like, just like kind of a small, like maybe like 300 people, but the crowd's hot and it's a great environment, isn't it? It's fun.
The wrestlers notice it too. The wrestlers are like, man, some venues, it's weird. There is like some kind of energy, like you feel it in Philly you feel it there. You really do. And even if you're like first, second, third match, you're like, I got to have a good match here. This building's important. And we want the Von Erich Ranch to be that for, especially Texas wrestling.
That's exciting.
Yeah, man.
Really exciting. Well, guys, I think that about does it for this week. Again, if you haven't subscribed, you're watching right now, really appreciate that. Leave a comment, anything. You guys are great at leaving comments, and know that we don't always share those on here. We'll be better about sharing them here and also answering them in the moment. But man, thank you guys for keeping those coming. Anything that you think about what we talk about. I think actually somebody on the last episode told me that it was sold out for Stars and Stripes Forever, RCW at every branch. So they're paying attention. So thank you guys for chiming in, and make sure you hit subscribe if you're watching right now or listening wherever you are, so you never miss one of the Claw Pod episodes. Ross, Marshall, good to see you guys this week.
It's great seeing you, man. Thank y'all for listening. We love you, VE Nation.